I can't believe how much the world has changed in just 12 months. For most of us, certainly my life, there was a basic assumption in the world that America wasn't perfect, but America was the good guy. Today, that opinion is breaking. Not on assumptions or emotional swings, but on indisputable facts in front of everyone's eyes. This video is about 4 cracks in the American story. First, how the United States is no longer seen as a reliable ally, but a destabilizing force. Second, how the institutions that were supposed to restrain presidential power are failing in real time. Third, why American allies are now quietly planning for a future under a new leader, not the United States. And fourth, the moral reckoning, a look at the American system. To make this clear, this isn't an anti-American podcast. This podcast is about reality. Let's start with the obvious. Donald Trump is tearing apart decades of cooperation with America's closest allies. Not rivals, but allies. In just a few weeks, maybe months, we have seen Trump threatening Europe, pressuring campaigns against Greenland, open contempt for NATO, lawsuits against major US financial institutions, corrupting the entire US legal system, attacks on the independence of the Federal Reserve, at the same time ICE terror operations, expanding state by state. More force, more terror, more fear, and more deaths. Just another victim yesterday, and the terrifying videos are clear about the atrocity that happened. And here's the part that really matters globally. Allies now see the United States as unpredictable, aggressive, transactional, not a partner, but a risk. Trump did insult the shared sacrifice that held alliances together. America doesn't look like a leader anymore. It looks like a raider, a pirate, like a marauder, like a country that takes first and asks questions? Never. Every time Trump speaks, another country recalculates its relationship with Washington. So, what's stopping this? Not Congress. Congress didn't act on Greenland, didn't act on Venezuela until after the damage was done, didn't act when NATO was openly undermined, not the Supreme Court, not the Constitution, no tradition. But what slows Trump down? The bond market. Bond investors don't care about slogans. They care about credibility, and credibility is leaking out of the United States. When investors see threats to the central bank independence, they react. When they see alliance being pushed away, they react. When they see chaos, they react. That's why people joke about bond daddies, because right now, those are the only adults in the room. This is bigger than Trump. This is the uncomfortable truth. What we are witnessing now is the breakdown of the post-World War consensus. The world America built for its own benefit, the one that delivered unmatched prosperity for many countries, yes, it's cracking. That order was rule-based, predictable, anchored by alliances, and now those foundations are eroding. Mark Carney understood that clearly when he said, we need to start thinking about other ways. That wasn't rhetoric, that was realism. Canada is a middle power, so is Europe. So are many other US allies. And all them adjusting. That's why leaders are going to China now, going to Canada, because they don't trust Washington to coordinate strategy anymore. Security arrangements are fragmenting. Trade relationships are being diversified. The assumption that the world will just wait for America to come back to itself, that assumption is wrong. India is rising, China is established, South America is organizing, Europe is asserting independence. The world is not frozen in 1945. And then there was that moment many people missed, the so-called Board of Peace, Trump's $1 billion vanity project, supposed to rival NATO, meant to signal new leadership and to put billions into Trump's pocket. And who showed up? Not American closest allies, not partners. That embarrassment mattered, because symbolism matters in diplomacy. It told the world something had clearly changed. Greenland wasn't a joke. It was a test. Trump believed he could simply take it, because no one would stop him. And for a moment, it looked like he might be right. Republicans stayed quiet. Congress? Crickets. The Supreme Court said nothing. Only when it became absurd, dangerously absurd, did resistance appear. Denmark deployed troops. Let's that sink in. A NATO ally prepared for a possible American attack. If that had happened, Article 5 would have been invoked against the United States. The only time Article 5 was ever used before, it was after 9/11 to defend America. That's why allies are so furious. Trump talks openly about leaving NATO, undermining it, replacing it. And nothing institutional can stop him. Markets only slowed him down. That's it. In the post-war period, America arranged the global system brilliantly to its own benefit. Efficiently, cheaply. It didn't need massive occupational forces. It didn't need endless violence. It built consent. That system enriched Americans. And, as a welcome byproduct, it stabilized the world. Now that system is collapsing. And the disaster administration in Washington assumed the world won't move on without America. That's sheer American arrogance we came to tolerate. But here's the hard truth. One that allies are whispering, not shouting. It's not just that Trump is not trustworthy. It's that America is no longer trustworthy. And why is that? Well, Americans elected him. Twice. American farmers elected him. Twice. Almost 50% of the American electorate said yes to Trump, even though everyone could see what's coming. And indeed, it came. So when allies look at Washington, they don't see just one man. They see people that allowed this to happen. Again. Now, that kills trust. And the assumption we hear so often, that this is not America, this is not us, is wrong. A bunch of white dudes landed on the continent a couple hundred years ago and stole the land from the natives. Then there were slavery, apartheid. Even today there are towns in the US that still practicing sundown town attitude. And all that does not happen without people. White America first was always the way America rolled. And no one expressed this better than American Princeton professor Eddie Glaude, when he said, "No one ever believed that our hatred would get the best of us at some point. That our greed would grab us by the throat at some point. The toxic brew of greed, selfishness and hatred, it sought the belly of the country, ate a hole through its lining. And so we find ourselves right here." Think about that. So here's today's takeaway. If Americans believe the world would stand still while Washington unravels, they are about to learn otherwise. Allies are adapting, deals are being cut elsewhere, trust is being redistributed. For Canada, that matters deeply. We live next door to this clown show. At this point, we still rely on it. But we, like many other countries, plan beyond it. If this video made you think, please share it. Talk about it at work, on the road, in the shop. And if you want more straight talks about where the world actually is heading, please subscribe. Because history doesn't wait. And neither does the rest of the world. Thanks for watching. I'm Wilfried Lemkuhler with Europe Curious.